And we can move on to item 1.2 of our agenda, which is roll call, and I ask our Deputy Clerk, Bianca Dragicevic, to please call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor Lamson. Are you present?
I am present.
Deputy Mayor Armstrong?
I am present.
Councillor Franzen?
Present.
Councillor Braybrooke?
Present.
And Councillor Cadigan?
Present.
And for staff, we have Donna Taggart, CAO Treasurer.
Present.
Steve Brockbank, Director of Emergency Services.
Present.
Eric Gage, Director of Building and Planning, CBO.
Present.
Adele Arbor, Planner. Is on the line. Derek Bertram, Planning Tech.
Present.
And Bianca Dragicevic, Deputy Clerk, is present.
Okay, thank you very much, Bianca. We can move on now to item 1.3 of our agenda, which is land acknowledgement and moment of reflection. We respectfully acknowledge that Trent Lakes in Peterborough County are located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nation, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. Trent Lakes respectively acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. We will now take a moment to reflect on these principles and our duties and responsibilities as members of council. Okay, thank you. Now we can move on to item 2 of our agenda. Anyone have a pen? Thank you. Mine ran out of ink. Okay, we can move on to item 2 of our agenda, which is approval of the agenda as circulated. See Councillor Braybrooke for mover and Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. Any conversation about the agenda? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. We can move on to item 3 of the agenda, which is disclosure of pecuniary interest. If any member of council has a pecuniary interest on an item on the agenda, please disclose it now or any time during the meeting prior to discussing anything on the item that you have a pecuniary interest in. Seeing no hands, we can move on now to item 4 of the agenda, which is adoption of minutes. We have a couple of sets of minutes to adopt. Councillor Braybrooke, go ahead.
Motion to adopt both.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? I see Councillor Franzen for a seconder. Any conversation about either sets of minutes? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Now we can move on to item 5 of our agenda, which is committees and boards. We have the library board from November 14th of 2025, and we have the library board from December 5th of 2025. Is anyone prepared to make Deputy Mayor Armstrong?
Move to accept.
Okay. Councillor Franzen for a seconder. Any conversation about the library board minutes? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Now we can move on to item 5.3 of our agenda, which is liaison reports for council boards and committees. Is there any reports for any of the boards? Seeing none. Now we can move on to item 6 of our agenda, which is our statutory public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act. I would entertain a motion to suspend our regular council meeting and go into an open meeting. See Councillor Cadigan for a mover, Deputy Mayor Armstrong for the seconder. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion is carried. We are now in a public meeting. And then we'll ask our planning technician, Derek Burton, to please do your preamble.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lamshead and Mayor members of council. This is a public meeting under Section 34 of the Planning Act. Consider an amendment to the municipality's comprehensive zoning bylaw, B 2014-070, as amended. A notice of public meeting for today's application containing the prescribed information was circulated to all landowners within 120 meter radius of the subject lands at least 20 days prior to this meeting, and a sign was posted on the subject lands in accordance with the Planning Act. The notice was also mailed to all prescribed agencies, public bodies, and persons in accordance with the regulations. Anyone wanting to be notified of any decision from today's public meeting must either inform myself or the clerk, and a notice of passing will be mailed out to them, setting out the method and manner in which appeals may be made to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person does not send in a written comment prior to the passing of the bylaw or make an oral submission at the public meeting, that person may not be entitled to appeal the decision.
Okay, thank you very much. You can move on and introduce our first file, item 6.1. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor Lamshead, members of council. Again, on today's agenda, we have zoning bylaw amendment 2601 submitted by agent Kenneth J. Isaac of Kenneth Isaac Architect Incorporated on behalf of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Canada for the property located at 15 Fire Route 54. This property is zoned rural and shoreline residential in the municipality's comprehensive zoning bylaw to B 2014-070, and is utilized as a seasonal camp, which has operated for roughly 2 decades during the summer months, which is known as the Thomas Monson Camp. The subject lands have an area of approximately 161 hectares or 397 acres that has been kept in a relatively natural state with minimum alteration to the natural surroundings. The camp structures are spread out over an area that is approximately 18 hectares or 44.5 acres, located in the northeastern corner of the property in proximity to Little Bald Lake. The applicant engaged the municipality in February of 2025 to begin the process of pre-consultation with planning staff to propose a new 53 square meter or 576 square feet host cabin on the subject lands. Through consultation with planning staff, it was determined that a zoning bylaw amendment was the appropriate course of action to create a single zone category, special exception zone being open space 9, to permit the seasonal camp use, recognize existing structures, and to permit the construction of the proposed host cabin. There is a report on today's agenda from the municipality's external planner, Chris Jones, which is in support of the rezoning. The planner visited the site with representatives from the property on May 6, 2025 to review the property and the proposal. There is currently an existing site plan agreement on title that was registered on May 3rd, 2010. Therefore, it is a recommendation that the applicant update the existing site plan agreement as part of this approval process. Comments have been received from the municipality's deputy chief building official, stating that a septic permit has recently been issued for the proposed host cabin under permit TL 2026-13, and planning staff also in receipt of a public comment that was received after the posting of the agenda, which has been circulated to all members of council. And this email reads as follows. I will read it out loud by Scott Smith. Good day. I am part of owner of Lot 1, Concession 12, Part Lot 12, Plan M164. The approximate address is 23 Fire Route 53 in the municipality of Trent Lakes. We have received a notice of public meeting to be held on March 3rd, 2026 at 1 p.m. in regard to zoning bylaw amendment 2601 to accommodate the existing seasonal camp operations with the official plan and allow for the construction of a manager's residence, and have reviewed the available material. We agree that the camp operators have been good stewards of the lands and the existing operation has been a net benefit to the area. We do not object to the zoning being adjusted to bring the existing camp into legal conformity, nor to the construction of the manager's dwelling. We do have concern around what limitations would be included in the zoning bylaw that would limit the wholesale expansion of campsites, particularly in the event that the current owners were to sell the property across the entire 44.5 acres. Can council ensure that there are sufficient setback requirements from shoreline property lines and the public and private roads to maintain a similar buffer around the establishment as there is now, and that the density of the campsite is maintained below suitable levels to minimize the environmental impacts of the expansion? As noted in the material, a trailer park or for-profit campground operation would be more in line with commercial zoning. While we agree that the current camp operations do not fit this category, we are concerned that there are ways to circumvent the commercial zoning requirement under the proposed amendment. Additional clarity would be enshrined in the language, could be enshrined in the language of the bylaw amendment to ensure that the exception accommodates the current usage, but limits any significant future expansion approximating a commercial operation. In summary, we believe that the zoning bylaw amendment should be passed that allows for the current camp to continue and modestly expand its operations within the guidelines of the official plan, but we would seek to have clarity on the magnitude of potential expansion, particularly in the event of the sale of the property. These comments were circulated to the agent and the owner, the director of the property, Mr. Grand Lambert, and he provided a follow-up letter, a response letter to the comments, which has also been circulated to members of council. And I will read it as follows. Derek, we appreciate our neighbor's letter with a recognition of the camp's positive contribution. The camp is seasonal outside the summer period. We only have sporadic short maintenance visits by volunteers for cleaning and upkeep. The proposed director's cabin simply replaces the current use of personal campers or trailers by leadership during the operating season. It is not a rental nor commercial accommodation and not a year-round residence. There are no plans to expand the camp, increase the site density, or sell the property. Our programming and footprint remain unchanged. We fully support maintaining all required setbacks and environmental buffers, and nothing in our application changes those protections. We also want to be clear that if there is ever a need for in the future to add any additional campsites or similar facility, we would follow the full municipal zoning and planning approval process, including public consultation. Nothing in this application seeks to bypass or limit those requirements. Finally, we support clear language bylaw that permits the seasonal not-for-profit camp and prohibits commercial campground or trailer park use. While ensuring that any future material expansion would require a separate application for those public process. In short, this amendment aligns zoning with the existing modest operation and authorizes a like-for-like replacement of director's accommodations. And that now concludes the summary of the zoning bylaw amendment 2601. I turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Mayor, to resume the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much, Derek. Is there anyone in this gallery that would like to speak for or against this application? Seeing no hands, I think we had some nods back there that might have liked some of the language in that presentation. Okay. Anyone on council have any comments or questions? Deputy Mayor Armstrong, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Lamson. And thank you, Derek. Just a question. It looks like the concerns have been addressed through existing zoning bylaws. The only one that I'm not sure about is, could the owner expand the existing operation within current bylaws, or would they have to apply for some sort of an exception?
Of course, through you, Mayor Lambshead, absolutely. The open space 9 exception zone will capture all existing uses and the proposed use. So any deviation or creation, new development, new structures would require an amendment to that special exception zone through, once again, the zoning bylaw process, 20-day circulation, public consultation, public meeting.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I'm seeing none. I thank you very much, Derek.
We do have somebody online.
Do we have someone online?
Yes. We have Claire Atkinson. I'm just going to unmute you now.
Thank
Hello.
you. Appreciate it. Thank you. And it's nice to see everybody again. I was at the council meeting probably over 6 months ago with another bylaw question from one of our neighbours. But I just have a question on this, and I appreciate that the note, additional note that was made, whoever submitted that note. I'm one of the 21 cottages on Fire Route 54. And as you know, that is a private road, and pretty much most of the cottages actually contribute to the maintenance of that road. I don't see a provision in this bylaw change request or anything in this that would make a provision for making sure that, you know, there is a lot of increased traffic at the top of the hill, and that hill is pretty treacherous. Is there something we can put into this amendment that would say that, you know, the camp should also contribute to the maintenance of the road, or at least input to it? Because right now it's just the 21 cottages that they're actually maintaining this road. And I'd like to see some contribution from the camp if that's possible.
I don't know if we have an answer for that. Would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm not in a position to answer that. I'm the architect.
Yeah, okay.
Or the agent.
Yeah.
So I can't speak to what the church would, what the church's position would be. What I am aware of is that the entrance to the camp is very close to where the private road starts. So, and it's the first property along that private road. I don't know. It might be 1,000 feet or 600 or 800 feet from the junction of where the private road starts. So whether the church would entertain some kind of contribution, I don't know, but
Just maybe a question back to you, Claire. Is there a road group there? Do you have an organized road group?
We don't have an official not-profit affiliation. We have an informal agreement arrangement whereby one of the guys does the maintenance or organizes for the maintenance of the road and then collects the money from the various cottages. I think the question has been posed before to the camp, and I don't believe there's been any contribution so far. I mean, if you look at the road, yes, the actual sign that says private road starts a little bit after the entrance of the camp, but not too far. We do get camp traffic that comes down the road because they either get lost or, you know, just wanted to explore the area. the most treacherous part of it is actually as you come off Adam Cummins and start down to Fire Route 54, and that becomes quite unwieldy, particularly, you know, after a winter. And so there's a lot of patching that is required. And I just thought, you know, as a collection of neighbors, we could at least have we could have an agreement whereby, you know, we all join together and keep the maintenance of the road just in a semblance of order that is not treacherous for people trying to traverse the hill.
Okay. Councillor Baber would like to.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. This is a private driveway, is that correct? Claire?
It's Fire Route 54 is a private is deemed as a private road, so it's not maintained by the city as far as I'm aware. We actually we do the maintenance as a collective of 21 cottages around Fire Route 54.
Right. Thank you. And just a follow-up question to Derek. It being a private road, I don't know whether the municipality has any standing to put any sort of language in a, I guess, a municipally application, it being a private road. I don't know if you could provide some clarification.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Lamson, I do believe you're correct in some respect, Councillor Braybook, that the capacity for us to enforce any type of legal mechanism to ensure that that's facilitated would be something we can look into. The applicant is still enter into a site plan agreement with the municipality, so we can look into if applicable wording could be added to a site plan agreement perhaps. But at this time, you know, we'd probably want to go back and to discuss the matter, find out if there's anything. On my site visit, when I did post, as the agent stated, it doesn't appear that the entrance is located on Fire Route 54, but it is in close proximity to, and I can respect Ms. Atkinson's concerns about individuals driving further down, getting lost perhaps, that may cause issues with that.
Councillor Cassidy, go ahead.
Through your mayor, an observation, if I may, it looks like that road, Fire Route 54, is on private property, the church's property.
Through you, Mayor Lambshead, yeah. So the map that we can see before us, map number 6 from the comprehensive zoning bylaw, yes, the road does come up the unopened road allowance and then turn onto the property. Again, these maps are by no stretch precise. So where the portion that is no longer maintained as per the access onto the property is difficult to discern right now without a survey before me to find out where it starts and stops, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Perhaps this is simply solved by a conversation between the church and the road group of people. I think that's more of the line. I think, you know, just have a conversation, see if there's any appetite to help each other.
One thing I would say too, when I went to the camp for the first time, I wasn't able to find the driveway the first time, and I was one of the people that drove further.
Yeah.
The second time I went, there was a big new sign, not big, but a very visible new sign at the camp. So I would not have gotten lost at that point. So I think the probability of people driving beyond the camp in the future will be quite diminished from the past.
So just to add to that though, the sign was there during the summer and not there, you know, off hours. So it is not always there. And you know, I don't know exactly where Fire Route 54 starts. My understanding is it's at the top of the hill, and that does become really treacherous. I don't believe the city maintains that portion of road. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But, you know, yes, a conversation, and I believe those conversations have been had in the past. It's more of a case of let's all, you know, work together to try to make sure that from the top of that hill all the way through down to the end of Fire Route 54, that it's accessible and in a good working order, and it's not always that case.
Thank you very much, Claire. Okay, does anybody have any other comments or questions or?
We have Martha Cronin online. Martha, I'm just unmuting you.
Hello, Martha? Are we muted?
Yes, Martha, you're still muted. You'll just have to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. You can hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I'm a cottager on Fire Route 54, and I do support Claire's comments. And just for my clarification, is the address of the camp number 15, Fire Route 54?
Yes, I believe so.
That's what it says in our documents. Is
Okay, so then that, leads me to believe that they, as with an address on Fire Route 54, then that indicates that they should be contributing to the road group. But, these things are often solved by just a conversation. As you say, someone on the panel said that. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. And I think we've covered this. So thank you.
okay. Thank you very much for your conversation, your comments, Martha. Okay, any other comments or questions from council? Councilor Franzen, go ahead.
I think that with the Church of Latter-day Saints apparently being good stewards of the land would also be good neighbors and contribute to the road, pay their fair share. And I think it's a civil matter, and it's not up to the municipality to regulate how people pay for private roads.
Thank you, Councilor Franzen, for your comment. Any other comments? Okay, I'm seeing none.
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, yes, go ahead, Adele.
Adele Arbor, planner. I'm sorry I had some trouble with my audio when the council meeting started. So listening to the conversation, in terms of the site plan agreement that we are entering into with the church, it would not be appropriate for the municipality to govern anything on a private road. As it's been mentioned by some of the speakers and by council members, it's most appropriate for the church to work with the other property owners along that fire route. And it's something that we as a municipality should not enter into or include in our site plan agreement.
Okay, thank you very much, Adele Arbor, our planner, for your always accurate advice. Okay, any other comments or questions? I'm seeing none. We can move on to item 7 of our agenda, which is business arising from a statutory public meeting. I would entertain a motion to reconvene a regular council meeting. Councilor Franzen for a mover, Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a seconder. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. We are now back in our regular council meeting, and we can move on to item 7.1. Derek Bertram, our planning technician, would you like to speak to this item, please?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lanshead, members of council, once again, there was a public meeting held for file 2601, and municipal staff are recommended the following: that council received the report from the planner for the zoning bylaw amendment file number 2601, and further, that council support the approval of zoning bylaw amendment file 2601 pending confirmation from the planning department that the owner of property has entered into the revised site plan agreement.
Okay, thank you very much, Derek Bertram. Councilor Braber, go ahead.
Thank you. Motion receive and approve zoning bylaw amendment file number 26-01.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? Councilor Cadigan for a seconder. Any further conversation by council? I'm seeing.
Can you just clarify that that's with the site plan agreement
Yes,
condition?
as recommended.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other conversation? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Okay, we can move on to item 8 of our agenda, which is presentations. We have none. Item 9 is delegations. We have none. Item 10 is staff reports. 10.1 is public works. We have none. 10.2 is recreational facilities. We have none. 10.3 is fire and emergency services. We have none. 10.4 is building and planning. We have none. I think they're all gone on holiday somewhere nice and warm and sunny. 10.5 is finance. 10.5.1 is Donna Taggart, our CAO treasurer. Would you like to speak to this item, please?
Yes, thank you, and through you. Do you want, I think Councillor Armstrong may have something at this time, or do you want me to continue on the presentation?
Why don't you go through the, sorry, through you, Reverend, why don't you go through the presentation, and then I do have some comments and concerns I would like to raise. there.
Okay, so thank you. So before you is a presentation on the overall dollars to be collected through taxation in 2026. You will see, if we go to the next slide, please, that there is a 4.94% increase, so 1.371 million between 2025 and 2026. And I've provided the amounts that are associated with each of the levels that we collect taxation for. So that would include the county up 6.54, education 0.36, and the municipality 4.99. Thanks, Bianca, for that. So once again, we look at every dollar collected and how it's broken down. So this year, that would be apportioned 43 cents to the county, 41 cents to the municipality, and 16 cents to the province for education. So what that means for 100,000 when you add all of those entities together is an increase of $39.72. So if you look at the average assessment in Trent Lakes for 2026, it's $416,883.20, and that is relative to the three main classes that are in Trent Lake. So single family detached on the water, and a seasonal dwelling on the water. So that average property would see an increase of $208.75, and $117.71 of that would go to the county, $84.50 would stay in the municipality, and $6.54 would go to the school boards. The next three slides really just break down the responsibilities between the county and the municipality. I do usually provide this. I just expanded it a little bit this year, so I don't know if that's helpful, but just for your information. And you will see that we, each level is responsible for similar things for roads and bridges and fleets, that type of thing. But there are specific responsibilities that lie in each area as well that are unique. So this is just for your information, and this presentation as well is just to let you know that based on the overall tax rate, that would be the impact. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments or questions? I think we have Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a comment. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam. First of all, thanks for the county municipal breakdown, Donna. I think that's very helpful and good as a reminder, refresher all the time. So thank you for that. Yes, I do have a concern. At the county level, we approved a 5.29% increase in the tax levy year over year. That was hard fought, but we got it down to 5.29, including a number of capital projects. As you see on these slides, it's 6.54%. And it is not clear to me, nor to our treasurer, how we got from 5.29 to 6.54. It may be completely legitimate because there are some differences in our assessment roles, et cetera, but at present time, I do not have a good explanation for that. So until I do, and either understand that why we got there or that there's an error there, I'm not prepared to accept it at this stage. So I'll leave it at that. There could be a number of reasons why that is, but no point in going through the hypotheticals, I think, at this stage until we better understand.
Okay, thank you very much for that comment, Deputy Mayor Armstrong. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Councillor Franzen, go ahead.
Just a question. I understand our tax rate is 3.84%. What would our total tax rate be with the county and with the Board of Education?
So if you go to the slide, please, Bianca, that has the 100,000, that would show you the tax rate. So that's the total tax rate for 2026.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll answer your question, Councillor Brandon. Okay, perfect. I do have the same concern. Anybody else have any comments or questions? I do have the same concerns as Deputy Mayor Armstrong. This number is not what we agreed to at County Council. I mean, whatever way they got to that, maybe it is completely legitimate or it's an error, but we certainly need to investigate this. So I would certainly think we should be looking at that before we accept, looks like almost a % increase. 0.75% increase from what we agreed on at County Council. And I will give some credit to Deputy Mayor Armstrong, who sits on that Finance Committee, which hard fought to get that down to where it is rather than a 6 or 7 or 8% increase. That's just my comments. Is any, Councillor
I
Trent?
just have a follow-up. On that slide, Donna, it says an increase of 39.72. So that would be a tax rate increase of 3.97%.
So if, so for the total tax rate for 2026 will be if you put the decimals in the 1,050.76. So, it would be 39.72.
So
I just want to make sure I know what you're asking.
That would be 3.92 instead of 3.84.
Right. I think.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I think, I just want to make
If
sure.
that's incorrect, it just, send me an email.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Is anyone prepared to make a motion? Deputy Mayor Armstrong, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Linda. Just a final comment. I think anything under 5% is, a decent increase year over year, given the financial pressures that everybody reads about all the time, in terms of having downloaded the responsibility of municipalities for all of our infrastructure. So I think, I said this before, but I'd like to thank again staff for going back several times to try and look at all of our expenses and get it down to something that's reasonable.
Absolutely. Thank you for that comment. Okay, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, is anyone prepared to make a motion about this item? Deputy Mayor Armstrong, go ahead.
I would make a motion to receive it, but defer it pending further investigation or any kind of acceptance.
Okay.
That's kind of a, I
don't know if we can
didn't,
do both.
maybe you can help us here, Bianca.
Through you, I believe this was just for information. It's not approving any budget. If I'm
Right.
incorrect, please let me know.
Right.
But
I'm sorry, through you, Mayor Lynch. I would like to make some comment for the record, however, that we have questions about the numbers that are in the report. So I don't want it to assume that we have received it without question. So if you have some suggestions on wording, I'd like that, or else I would suggest we just defer the report until the next meeting.
through you, perhaps it could be just received, and it could be, perhaps we could direct staff to come back with an updated presentation when the numbers are reflecting the correct budget.
Can we, like to say, received with reservation or received with something? I don't want a clean received on it. If I may.
I think that's what you do. I think you just receive
Yeah.
it as long as we direct staff to confirm the accuracy of the numbers in that report. If the numbers are incorrect, then we change things. I think you can receive that report. And
Yeah, the receive is just that it's been before council.
Understand. I just want the record to be very clear that we're not
I agree.
support or agreeing with the numbers that are in them.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we need the motion to be kind of clear. So I think I shouldn't tell you what motion is, but if you receive it with the understanding that we want staff to investigate the numbers and bring that back to council if it's right or it's wrong. So at least we're just receiving the report, not the actual numbers.
So if I may, just one more time, I'm being a real stickler.
It's okay. That's
I
all good.
understand that. Could we make the motion to receive with concerns and based on that, directing staff to review and come back with further clarification on the accuracy of the numbers?
Are we there? Bianca, if we're okay with that one? We do all both have certainly all reservations about the number seemingly to be incorrect.
the motion that council receive the report from the CAO treasurer, and further that council direct staff to review and report back on the accuracy, on the confirmation and accuracy of the budget numbers.
No, receive with concerns or receive with questions or something like that.
Sorry, through you, receiving is just that it's been before council. It's not an action.
No, I understand, but I would like the motion to read, receive with questions or receive with concerns.
I think what I'm hearing from staff is that that's not really appropriate to receive it. And so if we don't want to receive it, we can just defer it.
I think
Then I would,
I think it's
then I
probably better
would
to
suggest
just.
we
Yeah,
defer
okay,
this,
so we have a,
Until, could I just request until when?
the next meeting.
then you should be able to confirm with county on the numbers. Councillor Trent.
I think the borough should also mention that we have an issue with the county numbers.
Yep.
We have no issues with the numbers that we've received from our municipal staff.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can revise that motion to defer it. But we want to make sure that we understand that we do have some concerns
To
about. the county.
confirm the county
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah, there you go. 3 pages so far, so we have to get this one kind of right.
10B,
Could, yeah, could I have a member of council please repeat the motion in the words that they would?
so the motion would be that we defer receipt of this report pending and direct staff to further investigate the accuracy of county numbers and report back at the next meeting.
Okay, are you willing to second that same motion?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Mr. Franzen for a seconder. Any further conversation about the item? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Motion is carried to defer that item to our next meeting. Thank you. It's clear as mud. Now we can move on to item 10.6 of the agenda, which is administration. We have none. 10.7 is corporate services. We have none. Item 11 is notices of motion. Does anyone have a notice of motion to put? I'm seeing none. We can move on now to item 12 of our agenda, which is correspondence for information. Item 12.1 is the Cavendish Culture and Recreation Committee minutes from January 20, 2026. Is anyone prepared to make a motion or would like to speak to that? Councillor Francis.
Motion to receive.
Do I have a seconder for that one? Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. Any
And one
conversation
just
about
one quick comment.
Go right ahead.
That windsock seems to be a long-term issue.
It certainly has been. It's been up and down and down and up. The bearing was gone in it. There's grease. It's quite a complicated adventure. And it really needs to be up for the safety of a helicopter. That's the reason. But it has been a few years. Thank you for that comment. Any other conversation? See none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. We can move on to 13 of our agenda, which is correspondence for action. We have a few things there. Would anyone like to speak to any of them in particular, or we can do them all at the same time?
I'd like to make a motion to receive
Okay, motion to receive all of them.
all of them.
Anyone else? I see Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a seconder. Any conversation about any item? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. We can move on to item 14 of our agenda, which is bylaws. We have none. And item 15 is announcements. Does anyone have an announcement? Seeing none, we can move on to item 16 of our agenda, which is our closed meeting. I would entertain a motion to go into close. Councillor Brabert for mover, Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. And we are going into close under the authority of the Ontario Municipal Act, section 239(2), to discuss A, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, so litigation, and F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, in brackets litigation. Those are the reasons we are going into close, and I will call for a vote. All in favor? That motion is carried. We are now in closed. We can move on to item 17 of our agenda, which is business arising out of our closed meeting. So I would entertain a motion to rise from closed. Councillor Franzen for a mover and Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion is carried. We are now back into our regular meeting. So item 17 is business arising from a closed meeting. Item 17.1 is the adoption of the minutes from our February 17th, 2026 meeting. I would entertain a motion for same. Councillor Cadigan for a mover, Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a seconder. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. And we can move on to item 18 of our agenda, which is adoption of the confirming bylaw. Would anyone like to make that motion? Councillor Cadigan for a mover. Deputy Armstrong for a seconder. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. We can move on now to item 19 of our agenda, which is adjournment. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn? Councillor Franzen for a mover. I don't want to stay here all day. Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, staff. Thank you very much, council. Thank you very much who attended virtually and electronically.